In nature there are rules. Predators hunt. Prey runs. Survival is simple. But some animals didn't get the memo. There's an animal so fearless. It will attack lions, snakes, and anything that stands in its way. Another one is technically a carnivore, yet it survives almost entirely on plants. And then there are creatures that don't just live in nature. They reshape it. Entire landscapes changed by a single species. Some of them look harmless, even cute, but their behavior makes no sense at all. They break the rules of biology, challenge what we think we know, and force us to ask one simple question: how are these animals even real? From unstoppable fighters, to bizarre plant-eating predators, to engineers that can transform the planet itself. Today we're diving into some of the strangest animals on Earth, and trust me, the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Let's begin. What if I told you there's an animal that eats king cobras for breakfast, isn't afraid of lions, knows how to use tools, and has officially made it into the Guinness Book of Records for its insane bravery? No, it's not some mythical beast or a comic book superhero. This is the honey badger. This animal, which weighs only up to 16 kilograms, challenges the laws of nature and logic itself. Its Latin name, Mellivora capensis, hints at its love for honey, but it doesn't even begin to reveal 1/10 of its crazy personality. We'll find out how it's similar to its northern cousin, the wolverine, one of its closest relatives, along with martens. We'll learn why its skin is almost impenetrable armor, and how it manages to survive bites from the most venomous snakes on the planet. Get ready, because this is the story of the absolute anarchist of the animal world. This is the complete biography of the honey badger. At first glance, the honey badger doesn't impress with its size. Its maximum body length is only 77 centimeters, and the tail adds another 20 to 30 centimeters. Its height at the shoulder is just up to 28 centimeters. Males are much larger than females. The females rarely exceed 10 kilograms, while males can weigh from 9 to 16 kilograms. However, despite this, the honey badger is the largest land representative of the weasel family in Africa. This family also includes smaller animals like the African striped weasel, the African polecat, or the zorilla. It might seem like nothing special, but as they say, the devil is in the details. The honey badger is a compact and incredibly strong animal with short but extremely powerful legs. Each paw is armed with giant claws. On the front paws, they can reach 4 to 5 centimeters. These aren't just claws, they're personal excavators that can dig a hole in hard ground in just a few minutes. And so that dirt doesn't get into their ears while digging. Honey badgers have small, almost invisible ears. Despite fairly weak eyesight, the honey badger relies on its phenomenal sense of smell, which allows it to flawlessly find, for example, beetle larvae half a meter underground. This makes it an outstanding forager. When it comes to finishing the job, it uses not only its claws but also its incredibly powerful jaws. Its teeth, especially the molars, are adapted for crushing meat and bones rather than slicing them. The bite force allows it to easily crunch through turtle shells, bones, and tough insects. But its main feature is its skin. It's incredibly thick, up to 6 millimeters on the back, and so loose that if you grab a honey badger by the scruff, it can easily turn around inside its own skin and bite you back. This armor is so effective that arrows, spears, machetes, and even the teeth of many predators can't pierce it. There are documented cases where snake bites couldn't inject venom because of this rubbery protection. Its two-tone coloring is a classic example of aposematism, or warning coloration. The wide silvery gray stripe that runs from its head to its tail seems to tell the world, "I'm dangerous, so stay away." The lower part of its body, face, and paws are coal black. However, this signature color has variations. The most striking ones are completely black or melanistic individuals. This variant is much rarer and is usually found in honey badgers living in forested areas, for example, in northern Democratic Republic of Congo. The shade of the silvery mantle can vary from pure white to grayish or even straw-colored. Its width can also differ depending on the subspecies and region. In total, there are 12 recognized subspecies of the honey badger. Now let's compare it with the wolverine. Although the wolverine is much larger and can weigh up to 32 kilograms and is adapted to cold climates, both species represent the peak of evolution, endurance, and aggression in their weight class. What unites these two animals is an incomprehensible fury, disproportionate strength per unit of mass, and an incredible will to survive, which makes them true soul brothers. So where does this king of fearlessness live? His territory is actually huge. The honey badger lives across most of Africa south of the Sahara. It can also be found on the Arabian Peninsula, in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, India, and Nepal. The honey badger's adaptability is simply amazing. Savannas, dense forests, steppes, semi-deserts, and even mountainous areas at altitudes up to 4,000 meters. A honey badger can live anywhere there's food and the possibility to dig a burrow. It's not picky about interior design. Usually, it digs its own burrow from 1 to 3 meters deep with a spacious nesting chamber, but it has no qualms about occupying an abandoned home of an aardvark, warthog, or termite mound. The honey badger isn't tied to one house. Being mostly solitary, it leads a nomadic lifestyle across a huge individual territory. In males, it can reach 500 square kilometers. For comparison, the maximum territory of wolves is up to 2,000 square kilometers. Within its territory, the honey badger has dozens of temporary shelters, abandoned burrows, crevices, or termite mounds. It rarely stays in one of them for more than a day. Its activity depends on the climate. In hot regions, it leads a nocturnal lifestyle, while in cold mountainous areas it can be active during the day. The only exception is a female with cubs, who sets up a permanent den. The honey badger is a convinced loner and the true master of vast spaces. It only meets relatives to continue the species, and spends the rest of its time on its huge individual territory. It actively marks its possessions with secretions from its anal glands. According to eyewitnesses, the smell of this secretion is capable of killing everything alive. This secretion isn't just stinky, it can also paralyze and stun insects. But the real weapon of the honey badger isn't just its smell, but its brilliant intelligence. It is considered one of the smartest animals on the planet. The honey badger is capable not only of learning but also of using and making tools. Observers have described honey badgers using logs to reach kingfisher chicks or rolling objects to climb over a wall. This isn't blind instinct, this is an understanding of cause and effect. A honey badger named Stoffel from a rehabilitation center in South Africa became a legend. He didn't just escape, he carried out a real engineering task. He learned to open locks, built ladders from stones and rakes, and once even molded balls from mud to use them as steps to climb the wall of his enclosure. His brain works on solving complex logical problems, making him an unpredictable and inventive opponent. For its boundless courage, the honey badger has officially entered the Guinness Book of Records as the world's most fearless animal. It earned this title for its well-thought-out combat tactics. Its philosophy is simple: the best defense is a fierce attack. It doesn't hesitate to attack animals that are several times larger than itself: lions, leopards, hyenas, and buffaloes. It doesn't wait for someone to break the rules first. It strikes first. If the honey badger's survival strategy is impressive, then its gastronomic preferences are simply mind-blowing. This animal is a true universal soldier of gastronomy. In fact, it's easier to say what it doesn't eat. Its diet includes over 60 species of animals and plants. It also consumes more fruit than previously thought, so it can be an important seed disperser. And the honey badger isn't shy about eating carrion. Of course, the honey badger got its name from its favorite treat, honey and bee larvae. To get to them, it's ready to endure hundreds of stings from an angry swarm. Its thick skin and determination allow it to completely ignore the bee's security. There's a legendary story about symbiosis with the African honey-guide bird, which supposedly leads it to hives. The mechanism of this interaction is unique. The bird makes special sounds that attract the honey badger's attention, then flies toward the bee nest, giving signals and waiting for the honey badger to follow. When the honey badger reaches the nest, it tears it apart with its powerful claws, and the bird gets its share of wax and larvae. Although this partnership seems mutually beneficial, it doesn't come without arguments. The honey badger doesn't always follow the bird and sometimes ignores its calls, relying on its phenomenal sense of smell. Scientists are still studying the exact mechanism of this interaction, but it fully matches the shrewd and selfish nature of the honey badger. However, the real hardcore of its menu begins when it goes hunting. The honey badger is a living nightmare for the most dangerous venomous snakes in Africa. Vipers, cobras, deadly mambas. For it, they're just tasty spaghetti. The secret of its safety lies in a unique biological weapon: resistance to neurotoxins. Special mutations in its nicotinic acetylcholine receptors make it almost immune to alpha neurotoxin, the main component of snake venom. The hunting process itself resembles a deadly ballet. The honey badger provokes the snake, receives a bite that rarely harms it, and then kills it with a lightning-fast counterattack from its powerful jaws. Sometimes the venom still has time to act, but even then it doesn't die. The animal can literally switch off for a few minutes or even hours, being in a kind of paralysis. But then, as if nothing happened, it wakes up and calmly finishes off its prey. Its omnivorousness knows no bounds. It hunts scorpions with the same ease, eating them along with the venomous stinger. It digs rodents out of the ground, cracks strong turtle shells, catches lizards, and isn't even afraid to attack young crocodiles or antelope calves. There have been recorded cases where honey badgers cooperated to attack much larger prey, such as waterbuck, attacking its vulnerable spots. This insatiable appetite makes honey badgers some of the most successful and demanding hunters in their environment. The breeding process of honey badgers, like much of their life, is shrouded in mystery because of their solitary and secretive nature. In the wild, they are extremely rarely seen. These animals don't have a clear breeding season, which allows them to breed at the most favorable time. However, in the Kalahari region, most births still occur between September and October. After a short courtship and mating, which can last up to several days, the male leaves the female forever, completely handing over the care of the offspring to her. Pregnancy in females lasts about 6 to 8 months. Usually 1 or 2 cubs are born in a carefully protected burrow. The cubs are born blind, helpless, almost hairless, and without the characteristic coloring. Their eyes open in about 2 months. The mother combines incredible care with the strictness of a true survival instructor. She fiercely protects the den from any threat, even attacking lions if they dare to approach. But her main task is not to feed, but to teach. The cubs stay with their mother for an abnormally long time, up to 14 or sometimes even 18 months. This period is the only time when honey badgers form a stable social pair. During this time, the mother runs a real Spartan school of survival for them. She gradually teaches them all the wisdom needed for solitary life: how to dig reliable burrows, how to properly attack venomous scorpions, how to neutralize snakes, and how to find and destroy hives while ignoring bee stings. This isn't just play, it's an intensive survival course in extreme conditions where a mistake can cost you your life. It is thanks to this long training that young honey badgers enter adult life fully prepared and unbreakable. In the wild, where danger awaits at every turn, the lifespan of a honey badger is relatively short and is about 7 to 8 years. However, in captivity, where there is no threat from predators, food is always available, and veterinary care is provided, these hardy creatures show a real miracle of longevity, often living to 24 or even 26 years. This difference clearly illustrates how harsh and demanding their natural environment is. After seeing something this fearless, you'd think nothing could be more extreme. But the next animal hides in plain sight, and most people never even notice it. This little guy is incredibly tough and hides way more than just a prickly shell. Did you know that a hedgehog is like a living barometer for your ecosystem? They're legit night hunters and survival experts. We're diving into their world to see how this ball of spikes actually functions, how they survive in the wild, and what role they play in nature. Get ready to bust some myths and meet the true master of the twilight. So, what makes a hedgehog so recognizable? Their quills, obviously. These amazing things are actually just modified hairs. An adult hedgehog can have anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 of them. Each quill is hollow, filled with air, and about 2 to 3 centimeters long. They grow at different angles to give the animal maximum protection. Fun fact: unlike some other critters, hedgehog spikes aren't poisonous. They're usually brownish-black with lighter tips, which makes for perfect camouflage. Underneath those spikes, there's soft, light fur covering their belly, face, chest, throat, and paws. They even have a tiny tail. A hedgehog's snout is elongated with a twitchy, wet nose. It's their go-to tool for sniffing out food. Their eyes are small and black, and to be honest, their eyesight isn't great. However, their hearing and sense of smell are top tier. A standard European hedgehog usually measures between 20 to 30 centimeters and weighs from 800 g to 1.5 kilograms. For comparison, the smallest species, the short-eared hedgehog, is only about 10 to 15 centimeters, while the largest long-eared ones can hit 30 centimeters and weigh over a kilo. Males are generally a bit bigger than females. And just to clear things up, hedgehogs aren't rodents. They belong to the order Eulepodophylla, the same group as moles and shrews. The European hedgehog is one of the most common species out there. You can find them across most of Europe, including the UK, Scandinavia, and Central Europe. Overall, different species are spread across Europe, Asia, and Africa. Even though many species share a similar look, they can be quite different. Some have lighter bellies or shorter ears, depending on whether they are better adapted to forests or open landscapes like steppes. Hedgehogs are super adaptable. They love mixed and deciduous forests, shrubs, meadows, and gardens. They feel right at home in urban areas, hanging out in cemeteries, railway embankments, or connected backyards. They're also big fans of farmland since they love clearings with thick vegetation. They usually avoid dense pine forests or super swampy areas. The main thing they need is a place to hide and plenty of snacks. That's why you'll often find them near villages and towns, crashing in bushes, under piles of leaves, in old stumps, or even abandoned buildings. Hedgehogs are night owls. They're most active at dusk and during the night, while they spend the day chilling in their cozy dens. They build these nests in thick bushes, under tree roots, or in burrows. Sometimes they dig them themselves, and sometimes they just take over an abandoned one from another animal. Generally, they aren't very territorial, though males might get a bit competitive over females during mating season. Their pace is usually slow and steady, but if they need to, they can bolt at speeds of up to 1.5 meters per second. But normally they cruise at about 3 kilometers per hour. Males can cover 2 to 3 kilometers in a single night looking for food or a date. They're actually great swimmers and can even climb low trees and bushes. And hedgehogs aren't exactly silent either. Their world is full of sounds that help them communicate and find their way around. When a hedgehog senses danger, it instantly curls into a tight, prickly ball. This is powered by strong ring muscles that pull their body together, making the spikes point in every direction. When they do this, you might hear a distinct hissing or huffing sound. That's their way of trying to scare off an enemy. When they're out foraging, they often snort and rustle through the leaves. During mating season, males might make loud chirping sounds, while females make quiet little squeaks. It's like the secret language of the night forest. A huge part of hedgehog behavior is hibernation. It's a deep sleep where the animal's metabolism drops way down. Their heart rate slows from 180 beats per minute to just 20 or 60, and their body temperature plummets from 34 degrees Celsius to as low as 2 degrees Celsius. Before heading into hibernation, a hedgehog eats like crazy to build up fat reserves. If they don't hit a minimum weight of about 600-700 g, they might not make it through the winter. Generally, hibernation starts in mid-autumn and lasts until early spring, once the temperature stays consistently above freezing. They often winter in piles of leaves or logs, so be careful if you're moving those around. Also, in extreme heat when food and water are scarce, they can go into a mini hibernation called estivation. Contrary to popular belief, hedgehogs aren't just fans of apples and milk. In fact, they're omnivores, but their diet mostly consists of animal protein. They're amazing insect hunters: beetles, caterpillars, earthworms, as well as slugs and snails. Hedgehogs don't shy away from bigger prey either, like frogs, lizards, mice, and even snakes. On top of that, they can eat eggs from ground-nesting birds as well as carrion and mushrooms. In a single night, an adult hedgehog can eat an amount of food that's up to a third of its own body weight. People often supplement their diet with wet pet food and fresh water, especially in summer or during extreme weather. By the way, milk is actually harmful to hedgehogs because they're lactose intolerant, which can lead to serious digestive issues. The hedgehog is a true guardian of the forest and garden. Since their diet includes a ton of slugs, snails, and insects, they're a key ally in pest control. This role isn't just direct, meaning eating the pests, but also indirect. For example, slugs are often intermediate hosts for various parasites that can infect other species. By eating the slugs, the hedgehog breaks the life cycle of these parasites, contributing to the overall health of the ecosystem. So, having a hedgehog in your garden is a sign of natural balance and environmental health. Mating season for hedgehogs starts right after hibernation, usually in April or May. During this time, males might even get into fights over a female. Pregnancy for a female lasts about 35 to 42 days. She gives birth to anywhere from 3 to 8 blind, naked, and defenseless hoglets. Newborns weigh only 12 to 25 grams and have spikes hidden under swollen, fluid-filled skin to prevent injuring the mother during birth. These soft spikes emerge within a few hours, and a second, darker set starts growing after 11 days. The mother is very protective of her young. She nurses them with milk for about 4 to 6 weeks. A female can have 1 or 2 litters a year. By the age of 2 months, young hedgehogs become independent and leave the mother's nest. They reach sexual maturity between 10 and 12 months of age. In the wild, a hedgehog's average lifespan is 3 to 6 years. But some individuals can live up to 8 years. In captivity with proper care, they can live much longer, from 7 to 10 years. However, mortality among young hedgehogs is very high, especially during their first year of life. A tiny predator hiding in your backyard? Quiet, fast, and surprisingly effective. But what if I told you the next animal breaks an even stranger rule? Because this one is built like a carnivore, yet chooses a completely different path. The giant panda is one of the most famous and recognizable animal species in the world. Its unique black and white coloring has become a symbol not only of China's wildlife but also of the entire global movement for the preservation of biodiversity. The natural habitat of pandas is the high mountain forests of central China, primarily in the provinces of Sichuan, Shaanxi, and Gansu. It is here, at an altitude of 2,400 to 3,000 meters above sea level, that pandas live in humid mixed or bamboo forests with dense undergrowth where their main food source, bamboo, grows. These animals lead a mostly solitary lifestyle, meeting other individuals only during the breeding period, which lasts only a few days a year. It is interesting that giant pandas do not have a strict daily rhythm. They can be active both during the day and at night. However, they spend most of their time searching for food or resting. They are known for their slow pace and calmness, but at the same time, they have a well-developed natural instinct for self-preservation. Despite their usually peaceful behavior, they can show aggression when threatened, especially when it comes to protecting their cubs or their territory. Although pandas belong to the bear family, their behavior differs significantly from other bears. They do not hibernate and do not migrate over long distances. Due to their large size, strength, and the relative isolation of their habitat, adult pandas have almost no natural enemies in the wild. The main threat to them is humans through habitat destruction, past poaching, and population fragmentation. Although the names of these two species are similar, the red panda and the giant panda are not close relatives. The similarity in names is more of a historical accident than evidence of a common origin. The giant panda belongs to the bear family, while the red panda belongs to its own family and represents a separate branch of mammals that is closer to raccoons and martens than to bears. Their last common ancestor lived more than 40 million years ago. The red panda is much smaller than the giant panda. Adults weigh from 3 to 15 kilograms, while giant pandas can reach up to 115 kilograms. Its appearance is also different: reddish-brown fur, a distinct white mask on the face, and a long fluffy striped tail used for balancing in trees and protection from the cold during sleep. Both species have a similar diet, the basis of which is bamboo. Although from a physiological point of view, this is very unusual. Both red and giant pandas belong to carnivorous animals, but in the process of evolution, they switched to a predominantly plant-based diet. The red panda, like the giant panda, has a pseudo-thumb, an evolutionary adaptation for conveniently holding bamboo. One of the most interesting features of giant pandas is their feeding behavior. Although according to biological classification, the panda is a predator, its diet consists almost entirely of bamboo. To effectively handle bamboo stalks, pandas have a unique anatomical feature: a pseudo-thumb or a modified wrist bone. It acts as an additional finger, allowing the panda to hold food almost like a hand. However, despite all these external adaptations, their digestive tract remains adapted to a meat diet, which makes the process of digesting bamboo inefficient. Pandas absorb only about 17% of the nutrients from bamboo, so they are forced to consume large amounts of food. To survive, an adult panda must consume up to 30 kilograms of bamboo every day, spending up to 14 hours a day eating. It is interesting to note that this sixth finger is actually a greatly enlarged wrist bone. This is an example of convergent evolution, where nature found an identical solution for both panda species, even though they are not close relatives. Although pandas are considered loners, research shows that they have a complex communication system. Pandas communicate with each other using sounds, smells, and postures. They emit about 10 different types of vocalizations, from quiet purrs and squeaks to growls or barks. Each sound has its own meaning, such as a warning or a signal for interaction. But to a greater extent, they rely on olfactory communication. Males and females actively mark territory with scent marks. Each panda has a unique character and behavioral features. Some of them are more active and curious, while others are calm and cautious. Understanding the character and emotional characteristics of pandas helps scientists and caretakers take better care of their well-being. In historical texts, the panda was mentioned under different names but did not have great symbolic significance compared to the dragon or tiger. Only after the panda was discovered for science by the French missionary Armand David in 1869 did it begin to attract attention. In modern pop culture, the panda has become a global symbol of environmental protection. Its image is used in the logo of the World Wildlife Fund, WWF. For a long time, the giant panda was under serious threat of extinction. Fortunately, the international community is taking measures to preserve this unique species. Thanks to these measures, the status of the giant panda was changed from endangered to vulnerable, according to the classification of the International Union for Conservation of Nature. You might have heard about panda diplomacy. China often leases pandas to other countries as a sign of friendship. However, all pandas in the world, even those born abroad, legally belong to China. One of the greatest difficulties in preserving giant pandas is their biological characteristic. During the year, females have only a few days when they can become pregnant. A newborn panda is blind, hairless, and weighs less than 150 grams, which is 800 times less than the mother. Why are pandas born so tiny? Scientists believe this is due to the low-calorie content of bamboo. The mother's body simply cannot spend a lot of energy on fetal development inside, so the main growth occurs after birth under the strict supervision of the mother. To overcome these difficulties, Scientists use artificial insemination methods and create conditions as close to natural as possible. Tourism also plays an important role. Reserves and scientific centers such as the Chengdu Panda breeding base receive thousands of visitors every year. A carnivore that eats plants. Sounds strange, right? But what if I told you the next animal doesn't just survive in nature? It actually controls it. First of all, it is worth noting that there are two main species of beavers, the Eurasian beaver and the North American Canadian beaver. Although they may seem identical at first glance, there are significant genetic differences between them. The Eurasian beaver is distributed across Europe and Asia, while its North American relative inhabits the vast expanses of Canada and the United States. The geographical separation between them is a natural barrier to hybridization, but it is not the only reason. These two species do not interbreed in natural conditions due to genetic incompatibilities. Externally, they differ in the shape of the skull and tail as well as the color of their fur. Beavers are the second largest rodents after capybaras. Their appearance is one of the reasons why these animals evoke such sympathy in people. Both species of beavers, Eurasian and Canadian, have strong, muscular bodies adapted to life in the water and on land. They possess thick, waterproof fur that allows them to retain heat even in cold water. Their fur, which is dark brown or dark gray, consists of two layers: an undercoat that preserves warmth and long guard hairs that prevent water from reaching the skin. Beavers have a characteristic flattened tail that resembles a paddle, and this is one of their most striking features. The tail performs several important functions. It is used for balance while swimming, serves as a rudder in the water, and helps maintain equilibrium on land. Generally, both species have similar adaptations for aquatic life. For example, the toes on their hind paws are connected by webs, which helps them swim effectively. Their front paws remain free for gathering building materials or food. Also, an important attribute is their powerful front teeth, which grow continuously. This allows beavers to constantly gnaw on wood, as their teeth wear down quickly but always remain sharp. Orange teeth. Beaver teeth are bright orange not because they are dirty, but because they contain a high concentration of iron. This makes their enamel incredibly strong and capable of cutting through the toughest wood. Built-in goggles. Beavers have a third, transparent eyelid called a nictitating membrane. This allows them to see clearly underwater while protecting their eyes, acting just like swimming goggles. Underwater valves. When a beaver dives, its ears and nostrils automatically close with special valves to keep water out. They can even gnaw on wood underwater because their lips close behind their front teeth. Beavers are an example of animals with a complex social structure. They are monogamous creatures that form pairs for life. Their family groups include parents and young beavers born over several years. Young beavers do not leave the family immediately after birth. They stay with their parents for up to 2 years, learning the necessary skills for survival and construction. Older brothers and sisters may also help raise the newborns. This is a sort of beaver school of life, where every new family member learns how to stack branches, strengthen dams, and search for the materials needed for structures. Interestingly, despite their medium size, beavers can change the ecosystem on a massive scale. Their construction activity is so significant that they are often called ecosystem engineers. They transform rivers and streams into standing waters, forming new lakes and wetlands that serve as habitats for many species of animals and plants. These areas become oases of life for fish, amphibians, waterfowl, and even mammals. Beavers are primarily nocturnal and crepuscular, spending the day in their shelters. In northern latitudes, a beaver's activity in winter is not tied to a 24-hour cycle and can last up to 29 hours. In winter, they do not hibernate. Instead, they spend most of their time in their lodges. Perhaps the most famous feature of beavers is their ability to build dams. Using branches, wood, silt, and stones, beavers create an entire network of water reservoirs. The dams they build create ponds or small lakes, which in turn ensure the stability of the hydrological regime in the area. This allows for a reduction in the speed of water flow, which consequently lowers the risk of soil erosion and helps accumulate water during dry periods. Furthermore, these bodies of water act as natural filters that improve water quality. Silt and various pollutants settle in the beaver-made ponds, contributing to the natural purification of water resources. Visible from space, the world's largest beaver dam, located in Wood Buffalo National Park in Canada, is about 850 meters, 2,790 feet, long. It is so massive that it can be seen in satellite imagery from space. Incredible speed. A single beaver can take down a tree with a diameter of 15 centimeters, 6 inches, in just 15 to 20 minutes. Regarding the feeding habits of beavers, they are herbivores. In winter, the main part of their diet consists of the bark and branches of trees such as aspen, willow, birch, and oak. During the winter period, beavers store branches underwater near their lodges to have access to food even when the water body freezes over. It is interesting that they can gnaw through thick trees using their sharp front teeth, which grow throughout their lives. In the warm season, their diet expands significantly to include herbaceous plants and algae, allowing beavers to obtain the nutrients necessary to maintain energy and health. Beavers have a complex communication system that includes sound signals, scents, and body postures. For example, tail slapping, when the animal strikes its tail against the water's surface, serves as an alarm signal warning other beavers of a potential threat. One of the most important means of communication is the use of scent glands to mark territory. These marks serve as a warning to other beavers that a certain territory is occupied. Additionally, they make sounds that can serve as alarm signals or communication between family members. The social structure of beavers is based on cooperation and a clear division of duties. For instance, some family members may be responsible for gathering building material, while others engage in maintaining dams or searching for food. This collaborative work is a key element of their success as a species. Firefighters of nature. Areas inhabited by beavers are often naturally resistant to wildfires. The wetlands they create act as green belts that stop the spread of fire and provide a safe haven for other animals during a disaster. Drought resistance. By storing vast amounts of water in their ponds, beavers help keep the surrounding soil moist, which is vital for plants and agriculture during dry seasons. From an ecological perspective, beavers are one of the so-called keystone species, meaning they play an extraordinarily important role in maintaining the health and stability of ecosystems. Without their construction activity, many ecosystems would lose their functionality and diversity. Thanks to their ability to change the hydrological regime of territories, beavers help prevent floods and conserve water during periods of drought. Their ponds also provide shelter for many species of fish, amphibians, birds, and mammals, making local ecosystems more resilient to climate change and other external factors. Furthermore, beavers can help regulate groundwater levels, as their dams facilitate water retention and its penetration into the soil. This is of great importance for regions where water is a limited resource, as well as for supporting agriculture and other human activities that depend on a stable water supply. Unfortunately, for a long time, beavers were under the threat of extinction due to overhunting and the destruction of their natural habitats. For example, in the 19th century, they were mass hunted for their fur, which led to the near-complete disappearance of beavers in some regions of Europe. However, in the 20th century, numerous programs to restore beaver populations were initiated. In many countries they are protected by law, and today they are gradually returning to their historical ranges. Thanks to these efforts, beavers are once again beginning to play their vital role in preserving natural ecosystems. Throughout the centuries, beavers have sparked admiration among various peoples. Among Native Americans, for example, in the Lakota tribe, they were considered a symbol of industriousness and perseverance. Europeans, on the other hand, saw beavers as the embodiment of skill and wisdom. In modern culture, beavers also play an important role, especially in Canada, where they have become a national symbol. Their image is depicted on coins and coats of arms, and their role in the development and history of Canada is recognized at all levels. The fish classification. In the 17th century, the Catholic Church in Quebec classified the beaver as a fish because of its scaly tail and aquatic lifestyle. This allowed people to eat beaver meat during Lent when eating land animals was forbidden. Beaver lodges. Their homes, called lodges, are so well insulated with mud and sticks that even in freezing winters, the temperature inside stays above freezing due to the beaver's body heat. And changing entire ecosystems is impressive. But the next animal might be the strangest of them all. It doesn't fight, it doesn't hunt. And yet, every other animal seems drawn to it. So, the capybara is actually the biggest rodent in the entire world. Adults usually get up to 130 centimeters long and can weigh around 65 kilograms. They've got these chunky bodies, short legs, and a tail you can barely even see. You'll find them mostly in South America. Think Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, and Argentina. They usually hang out in savannas, forests, and wetlands where there's plenty of fresh water. Capybaras live a semi-aquatic lifestyle, meaning they move back and forth between land and water like pros. They're mostly active in the morning and evening, spending the daytime just relaxing to beat the heat. They're strictly herbivores, munching mostly on grass, water plants, and tree bark. Their teeth are super sharp and their jaws are strong enough to handle even the toughest plants. In the wild, you'll usually spot them near the water because they can make a quick getaway if a predator shows up. They're amazing swimmers and can stay underwater for up to 5 minutes. This doesn't just help them hide from danger, it's also how they cool off on hot days. Capybaras are famous for being social butterflies. They live in groups of 10 to 20, though sometimes you'll see massive herds of up to 100. These groups usually have one dominant male, a few adult females, some babies, and subordinate males. Inside the group, capybaras are all about cooperation. They graze together, chill together, and look out for each other when predators are around. They talk to each other through all sorts of sounds, gestures, and even smells. They whistle, growl, and purr to warn the others about danger or just to find their friends. The bonds between them are super strong. They often groom each other, which isn't just about staying clean, it's how they bond. And the young ones are quick learners, they just watch the older ones and copy what they do. New babies usually arrive at the end of the rainy season when there's plenty of food and conditions are perfect for growing up. After about 5 months, a female gives birth to anywhere from 2 to 8 little capybaras. These pups are born ready to go. They can see, walk, and even eat solid food right away, though they still nurse for a bit. Raising the kids is a team effort. Other females in the group often help out, which gives the babies a better chance at surviving. Interestingly, a pup can nurse from any female in the group, which is pretty rare in nature. This, it takes a village vibe, really keeps the population stable and the group tight. Capybaras are great at adapting to different seasons like heavy rains or droughts. During the rainy season, life is easy, lots of water and fresh greens. That's when they bulk up and save energy. During a drought, they slow down to save energy and look for any small pools or damp spots where food still grows. Their ability to handle these shifts is exactly why they survive in such unstable environments. Physically, they're built for the water. Their eyes, ears, and nostrils are right on top of their heads, so they can stay almost totally submerged while still keeping an eye on things. Their fur is coarse and a bit oily, which keeps them warm in the water and helps them dry off almost instantly once they step back on land. Since they're such great swimmers, they spend a ton of time in the water. They can hold their breath for 5 minutes and move surprisingly fast, which is key for dodging predators or hopping between patches of plants. They even have partially webbed feet to make swimming more efficient. For them, water isn't just a way to get around, it's a place to cool down and socialize. Plus, a lot of their favorite snacks grow right in or near the water, so having access to it is a matter of survival. Again, these guys are 100% herbivores. They can eat up to 3 kilograms of plants a day just to keep their weight up. Eating a variety of plants gives them all the vitamins they need, but when humans mess with their habitat and the plants disappear, it really hurts their health. Music, humans and capybaras go way back. In some places they were hunted for meat and leather. But lately they've become super popular as exotic pets because they're so friendly and calm. However, they aren't your typical pet. Keeping one isn't easy, they need a ton of space, a lot of water, and they usually get lonely without a group. While some farmers raise them commercially, there's a big debate about the ethics of keeping wild animals like this. In some areas, people wouldn't dream of eating them, while in others, they're a major source of protein. Capybaras aren't a threat to humans at all. They're gentle souls and get used to people easily, especially if they've been around them since they were little. They're so social that they don't just get along with their own kind, they've been known to hang out with dogs, cats, and all sorts of other animals. They might walk right up to you for a snack, let you pet them, or just nap nearby. As long as the vibe is friendly, they're happy. Lots of tourists visit nature reserves just to see them in the wild, which is great for raising awareness about protecting them in their homes. Capybaras play a huge role in their ecosystem. By eating certain grasses and water plants, they keep the vegetation in check and maintain the ecological balance. Plus, they're a key food source for predators like jaguars and caimans. They even help spread seeds, which helps the forest regrow. Basically, they're a keystone species for biodiversity. The biggest threats they face are losing their homes to deforestation, farming, and cities. Hunting and climate change, which messes with the water supply, also make things tough. To save them, many countries have passed laws to protect them and created national parks. Ecological organizations are working hard to spread the word about how important it is to keep these animals and their habitats safe. Capybaras are truly one-of-a-kind animals. Their social lives and how they fit into the world make them worth studying and protecting. So, have you ever seen a real capybara? Maybe at a zoo or while traveling? Let me know in the comments where you saw one. And tell me, would you want a capybara as a pet? If you had one, what would you name it? That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video and have a great day.